For your chocolate chip cookie lab, the very first thing you're doing is you're mixing together your dry ingredients. In this case, your dry ingredients are your flour, your salt, and your baking soda. So the first thing we're doing is we're going to take 1 cup flour. Don't want to pack it in there, shake it off a little bit. Take your leveler, it might look a little bit different than this. Level it in there, 1. And then you need 2 tablespoons. Tablespoons are your biggest spoon. These can be used for both liquid and dry ingredients. There's 1. And there's 2. For baking soda, you're going to use a 1/2 teaspoon. You actually have to grab the 1/2 teaspoon, don't just do half of your teaspoon. You just stick it in the baking soda and you're going to level it off right there. Nice and convenient, comes off pretty. And put that in there. Then your salt, you're doing 1 teaspoon as well. Don't measure your salt over your bowl just in case you get too much. You don't want a big amount of salt flying into your cookie dough. So there I have like a heaping amount. And I'm going to just scrape it off not into the bowl, and throw it in with my other dry ingredients. The next thing you do after you have your flour mixture together, you're going to measure your butter. Your butter will be in sticks like this for you on the demo table. And as you can see, it's labeled by tablespoon. We need 6 tablespoons. Every stick of butter has 8, so we know that we need to chop off 2 of those tablespoons. So what I like to do is I make a dent in it with my leveler with a knife, so then when you open it, it's nice and easy to see. So then we know there's 6 and there's 2. We take our 6, we're going to put it into our mixing bowl. The next step is to measure your brown sugar. For your brown sugar, you're going to do 6 tablespoons. Every time you measure brown sugar, you want to make sure that you're packing it in there. So you're going to stick your measuring spoon into the brown sugar, pack it in, and then you're going to level it off. There's 1. You can maybe pack it in with your leveler, whatever works for you. 2. 3. What makes brown sugar is that it has molasses in it. So it's just regular granulated sugar with molasses. That's what gives it that flavor. 5. And 1 more. 6. Okay, so brown sugar. The next step is our granulated sugar. We need 5 tablespoons, which again is the big one, and then 1 teaspoon. So 5, kind of shake it off a little, level, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1 teaspoon. It's very important to be super exact when you're baking because baking is considered more of a science. You can't just throw things together like you could with a normal savory dish because baking needs to be exact in order for it to work out correctly. Once you have all of your sugar, your brown sugar, your granulated sugar, and your butter incorporated into the bowl, you're going to put it in your stand mixer. Depending on what kitchen you're working in, you might be using a handheld mixer, which is fine. You're going to put the top down, lock it, and you're going to beat it until it's light and fluffy. I've let our sugars and our butter beat in here for about 4 minutes and it looks a lot more thick, which is what we want it to look like. Now we're going to put in our egg and gently turn this on so we incorporate the egg. And while that's going, we're going to measure 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract. You're going to use your measuring spoon to make sure you find the 1/2 teaspoon. Make sure you're not measuring over the bowl. Fill it up to the tippy top and dump it in to incorporate. That's going to incorporate relatively quickly just because of the consistency. So now we're going to add in our flour mixture little by little. You don't want to overload it because it's going to go flying everywhere. Add a little bit in at a time. And when you're done, you're going to have a nice dough and you'll be able to stir in your chocolate chips. After you can see that your mixture is thoroughly combined, you're going to take off your paddle attachment and you're going to stir in your chocolate chips by hand. For chocolate chips we need 1/2 cup, so we're going to measure this as we would any other dry ingredient. It's kind of heaping. Although we like our chocolate chips, we don't want to put too many. Then we're going to just level it off into the cup and sprinkle it into our mixture. It's a lot easier if you actually take the bowl off and you're going to stir it with your rubber spatula and kind of fold it in there gently. You don't want to put chocolate chips in a mixer because it could actually damage the mixture because they're a little rough to get through. So we're just going to incorporate that. As you can see, there's chocolate chips everywhere. So now we are ready to scoop. For scooping, you can either use your hands to roll them out, or you can use one of our portion scoopers. These are in your bins, or your teacher can give them to you. You're just going to scoop in there and then roll it out. One of the reasons we use these scoopers is because we know when we do them that they're going to be the exact same size. Not only is that better for baking because they're going to bake evenly, they're all going to finish correctly at the same time, but if you were a business, you want your cookies to be the same size. If I went to a bakery and got a teeny tiny cookie and then my friend went the next day and got a huge cookie and we paid the same price, I would be a little upset. So we're just doing this for consistency. And we'll put them about 2 inches apart because these grow in the oven. If they're consistent, you should make about 1.5 dozen. So that's about 18 cookies. And then we bake them at 375 for 12 to 15 minutes, and we will show you the finished product when they're done.